Hey everybody, it's Kyle, and I am going to show you in this video how I keep myself organized. So I like to keep myself organized with this book, which I call my bullet journal or my bujo. And so one thing you'll see up here at the top, first of all, are these different tabs. And so I have those tabs in there so I can easily flip myself open to the page that I want to see. So I'll open up to this first tab here. What you can see on this page over here, this is like my semester calendar. It goes from January all the way into June. And you know, I create this about every 6 months or so. You'll see that I've copied down a calendar there, and then I have different things highlighted. So I have like green for the days that classes begin and end, but I have red for the days that I know that like I'm back to work, because I usually start working a week before classes begin. I have things like spring break marked out as well. So this is my way of just easily looking at my semester. And on this page, I also have like just some general space for notes. But I also try to keep myself organized like month by month. So you'll see here's a page that I have for May and for June of this month. And then, you know, as I make appointments with people and as I schedule things, I usually write them in here first. And what you'll notice if you kind of like zoom into here, you'll see that, you know, I have my own appointments. They're in black for some different meetings that I have. But I also use blue in here as well. And these blue appointments are things, are appointments for my wife or my kids. So that if they have things going on and I need to keep track of them, I have them in one place as well. And so next I have actually a weekly page. So this is how I plan out my week, and this is my week now for summer semester. And one thing you'll notice, actually I'm not quite finished with this, I'm still working on this. But you can see, so up here I have my class, and actually what I'll do probably later today is I'll take a green pencil and I'll just like color in a block. And so I use a colored pencil for the things that happen every week that never change. So my class is at the same time each week, so I'll actually color directly on the paper for this. And as well, you know, actually, you know, I work in the morning, my wife watches the kids, and then in the afternoon, I watch the kids while my wife works. So I have this changeover at noon every day. I have that written in and colored in, and so that the things that I do every week will always be there and they'll never change. But when I have like specific appointments, I have these Post-it notes here. And so I have yellow Post-it notes and I stick them on there whenever I have an appointment. And that way each week I can I can create new sticky notes. What I do is I check my monthly page, I see what my appointments are, and I put them throughout my week in sticky notes. I try to do that on Sunday or Monday every week. And then when the next week comes, I can just pull off my old appointments and I can stick on the new ones. And it's a pretty quick and efficient way. The other thing I have on here is I have these blue stickies. And again, these are for my wife's appointments, the ones I'm trying to keep track of, my wife or my kids. And that way, you know, I can have that. And I have this like really nicely organized weekly schedule that I can check every week. So that's how I keep track of like my schedule and like appointments. But then also in my bujo, there's this little string here, and that will take me to my to-do list for every week. So if I move in here, you can see like, you know, every week I basically create a new to-do list. And, you know, every like task that I have to do, usually things that are not, there's not like a specific time it has to happen, but I just have to remember to get it done. So I list them on here. Usually I just put a bullet point as I list it. And then as I complete that thing, I give it a check mark. If it's something that's not complete, but like it's ongoing and I'm continuing to work on it, I got that little squiggle. If it's something that I didn't finish at the end of the week, you'll see I put that little arrow over to next week, and there's new bujo, and I finished it, so I check it off. And the last thing that I do, I haven't done anything on here, but it's really satisfying. If I decide not to do something, I exit out, and that feels really nice. So that's how I track my to-do list. And at the end of this week, you know, when I create a new to-do list for next week, I'll go through and I'll check all the things that I haven't done, and I'll use this little arrow to move them over to the next week. And that way I don't lose track of anything. I don't forget to do anything that I know that I need to do. And again, I always have this side of the page free for notes, so I'd be making notes throughout the week. So that's how I keep track of my to-do list. And then the last thing is like thinking of like my goals and how I'm accomplishing them. So I have this blue tab, and I do this at the very end of my book. So what I have here is kind of a system for keeping my goals and projects in mind. So I have this brain dump page first, and anytime I get an idea that's like a big idea that I want to do, if it's something I can't start working on right away, like on the to-do list, I just write it on this page. And then I know like in the future, I have this idea for peer mentors and Pathway, which could be really cool, but I haven't had time to work on it yet. So I just write it here, and then every once in a while I can kind of open this up and remember what my big ideas are. And then I use these sticky notes again. On the next page, I have a way of actually tracking the projects and goals that I'm working on right now. And there are basically the 6 phases. The to-do are things that I plan to start soon. Then anything that I'm trying to gather information and prepare myself for, I have there. Whenever I'm in like the planning phase, I've got my information and I'm just trying to like figure out how to get it done. It goes here. I have this for things that are in progress. There's nothing here right now because coronavirus has really stalled like all of my kind of projects and goals and ambitions. So right now there's nothing in progress. But then things that are being implemented, things I'm actually like doing, I've finished planning and designing this project and I'm doing it, go right here. And then also there's this like space for reflection, just to remind me that even after I've, accomplished something, I should spend some time considering it and reflecting upon it. And then when I'm totally finished with a project, when there's nothing left to do on it, I flip to the next page and I have this blank page, and I just take all those sticky notes of things that I've accomplished and I put them here. And these will eventually kind of stack up, and it'll just be nice to like open this page and see like, oh, those are all those nice things that I've accomplished. So that's how I use my Bujo. So when I think like in terms of strengths and weaknesses of my personal organization system, which is my Bujo, to me one of the biggest strengths of my system is the fact that it's on paper. It's in a book. It's not on a computer. It's not on a phone. And the reason why that's a big strength for me is I've found that computers and phones are distracting, and I want this when I'm using the system, I'm trying to be organized and focused. And so when I've tried in the past to keep things organized on my computer or on my phone, I find that I get distracted. I'm trying to add something to my schedule, and before I know it, like I'm on Facebook, and I've been on Facebook for 20 minutes. So having it in a book is, I think, a huge strength. But on the other hand, having it in a book is also a weakness. The good thing about computer systems for organizing yourself, number one, is that you can set little alarms to go off. My Bujo doesn't have an alarm, so it does happen occasionally that I'll forget to do something, even after I've written it in my Bujo. So that's one way where like using my phone calendar would be better, because it could ding me and I could have an alarm. The second thing is, this I've found more as I've become more involved with a lot of people across the university, and as I work outside of OPI and with many people, is that when I'm trying to schedule appointments with people around the university, sometimes it can be really hard because we're all very busy. And one of the easiest ways to do that is actually to use an electronic calendar, and you can share your calendar with other people. But with my Bujo, I can't do that. So when people try to make appointments with me, they don't know when I'm already busy and when I'm not. And so, some of the ways I've tried to kind of improve upon that, one thing I do is it's a little bit annoying for me, but I mainly keep track of my schedule in my Bujo, but I also actually use like Microsoft Outlook. I use that calendar in there, and I try to put my appointments on there as much as I can. And I do that not for myself, but for other people who try to make appointments with me, so that they can see when I'm busy and when I'm available. But the other thing that I'm still kind of working on a system where it's happened to me a couple times where I've forgotten meetings that were written in my bullet journal. And so the two things I really try to do to make sure that I don't actually miss something after I've written it down is, number one, I try to create a habit of checking my bullet journal every day. As I begin working every day around 8 o'clock in the morning, one of the first things I do as part of my habit is I open up that journal and I check what I have to do for this week. And so that helps me. That helps me to remember and not forget things. And then the second thing is when there's something I know it's really important. As I check it in my bullet journal, I do make an alarm for myself on my phone. If I know I have a meeting at 3:30 today and I don't want to forget to do it, then I'll set an alarm on my phone for like 3:15. And when that alarm goes off, it's my reminder, like, oh yeah, I gotta get to that meeting. So those are some of the ways that I've tried to kind of like improve my system for myself. And I've actually been using this system for about 3 or 4 years now. So I've been continuously improving it as I go. And it's become a system that really works well for me. And as I get busier and busier in my life, with my job, with my family, and with everything else that I need to do, I have found that it has kept me it's kept me on track, it's kept me organized, and it's actually allowed me to be more efficient and get more things done.